Hey guys, give me a second. So, give me a sec. Apparently, Zero is not visible on my streaming. So, how's everyone doing? It's been some time since my last streaming here. Give me a sec. There we go. Let me tune down the music. So for tonight's streaming, I was thinking of doing something different. I'm gonna mix a plant, pretty much. I was thinking of doing a creature, a mix between a creature, a humanoid, and a plant. So that's gonna be the idea for the streaming. And give me a sec. Let me remove this. It's been a while since my last streaming here in the Twitch channel. I mean, in the ZBrush channel. So I'm just checking that everything's working out, especially because I'm using like Restream and using the Maxon ZBrush account. So give me a sec. Let me get rid of the music for a sec. There we go. Okay, so yeah, so I'm gonna try doing something like a bit creepy. I was thinking doing like a mixture between like a rose and a human. I was watching recently the Last of Us series, so I'm a bit inspired by the zombie fungus creatures. So that's where I'm headed with. Just give me a second. I'm almost done setting everything up. Sorry for any inconvenience, so let's get started. I'm gonna pretty much just start by blocking out the shape of the head. I just want to have like the jaw of the creature, like being a humanoid, like human jaw, and the rest of it's gonna be like plant, or not entirely sure, but something like this. Might even include a bit of like the top of the skull. But what I have in mind is having like this human looking jaw, and the rest of it it's like a mix between a plant and a ton of flesh. So let me do something like this. And since I already have my what's the name of it? I completely forgot. The can be with a skull. It's pretty easy to get like pretty decent looking shape by using this as a reference. Now it's not perfect, but it's gonna work for now. I don't need any of these section. For what I have in mind, it's gonna be something like this. I'm gonna do a very quick sketch. So it's gonna have like, instead of like leaves, it's gonna be flesh, and it's gonna be something like this. So it's gonna be like a rose made of like fleshy things. I'm actually gonna split these as different subtools just to have this as a proxy geo. Like this, and then it's pretty much just a rose. I'm just trying to get some shapes. I mean, from the top should look like a rose. I'm just duplicating meshes. Do another one like this. So it's not perfect, but maybe a bit bigger. And this is pretty much the idea. I'm gonna keep this as a placeholder for now, and then once I start sculpting the rest of it, I'm gonna get rid of like these rough looking shapes. Maybe like this. He has like an open mouth. And I'm gonna start adding a bit more resolution to this geo. So first I'm gonna save this, and then I'm just gonna start adding some more geo. So let me save this. Not entirely sure which stream is this one, like what number is it, but I'm gonna keep it like this. It's been a while since my last ZBrush. Oh, I didn't just realize. I should need to change the size of this. Okay, give me a second. There we go, sorry. I didn't have like the correct size on the windows. I mean the ZBrush window, so should be good now. Okay. Now I'm gonna add a bit more resolution to this using remesh by Dynamesh, subdirection down to 0, and so here it's fine. And again, this is just like a very rough sketch, so I'm not entirely doing like very anatomic correct shapes. I just want like lights and shadow to define some design on the creature. Same goes for this section. I'll define this shape a bit more. It's a very wide open mouth, so I'm gonna make this a bit smaller. Be the ears, so move this aside and play with the shapes. So it's a very small looking ear. Okay, so change the shape of the mouth again. And this section, the interior of the mouth also. I think the shape is way too exaggerated, so yeah, I think it has some value to it, so maybe just trying to get some of the shapes more defined. Hey, Ojascuita. ¿Qué onda? Frankie, ¿cómo andas, bro? Saludos hasta allá, Monterrey, ¿cómo andas? Qué chingón verte por acá, bro. ¿Qué onda, Sergio? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? En un segundo. Disculpa si estoy un poco lento en esto, pero ya tenía rato que no hacía streamings, entonces tratando de agarrar como justamente... más bien checar que todo esté bien en el streaming. Por ejemplo, me acabo de dar cuenta que tiene ZBrush 2024 abajo. Tengo que cambiar eso. So it's been a while since my last streaming. Apparently this is my first streaming in the ZBrush channel of this year. So it's been quite a time, almost half a year. So I just realized I'm using the hashtag ZBrush 2024, which is the old one. I need to correct that. Y creo que para el cuerpo voy a utilizar un base mesh de algún cuerpo humano para hacer algo diferente. Es un clicker de Last of Us. Justo estaba viendo la segunda temporada, entonces mencionaba que estoy un poco inspirado en eso. Quiero hacer como la idea de clicker, sin embargo, en lugar de que la idea sea de como que todo el tema del hongo, más bien sería como una rosa. Entonces voy a hacer como la cabeza, que todos los pétalos son como de piel y que tenga pues las raíces y el tallo como de planta y con las raíces como a través de todo el cuerpo, con las espinas. Entonces es un poco la idea. No sé un poco hacia dónde va, pero al menos por ahorita esa es un poquito la idea. Vamos a cargar un cuerpo de estos que ya están prehechos. Voy aquí a Tool y este Julie lo voy a utilizar. Tiene sentido que sea como un cuerpo femenino. Digo, al final no quiero algo súper detallado, solo quiero la forma aproximada. No quiero perder el tiempo haciendo todo desde cero en este caso. Y vamos a ver que la escala está demasiado exagerada, entonces voy a escalar esto. Algo así. Te voy a crear un layer para trabajar esto. Tiene niveles de subdivisión, pero no veo por qué tener estos niveles de subdivisión si no tiene detalle, entonces se los voy a quitar. I'm just using one of the pre-installed models that you can find inside ZBrush, and I'm getting rid of the subdivision level since I don't actually need any of those details. I mean, it doesn't have any details, but I don't actually need any of that. And I'm gonna create a new layer just to work with the layer system while I decide the design of the creature. Esto lo voy a hacer un poco más chiquito. Ahorita ya tenemos una cabeza, digo, aproximada, pero es una cabeza, entonces... Más bien esto voy a empezar a ajustarlo a mi criatura. Having a face inside the mouth is quite creepy. Oops. Darle estos layers. Y este. Yo creo que es mejor si lo voy a quitar como tal. Delete hidden. Voy a tratar de que los polígonos sean algo así. Delete hidden, close holes. There we go. So again, just saving time. I'm not really using that much the model. Acá andaba practicando un poco de anatomía, pero en dibujo. ZBrush ese día que no los toco. ZBrush creo que funciona mucho también para anatomía. O sea, creo que hay algo que utilizo mucho que es Sketchfab. Es una página en internet donde puedes ver los modelos en 3D. Y siento que ese te ayuda bastante porque puedes como que, ya sea que descargues los modelos y lo metes a ZBrush y puedas ver como la anatomía, o puedas simplemente estar rotando los modelos constantemente en... Es como tener una figura de Corche, de los músculos y todo eso. Entonces, siento que es muy buena herramienta. For example, I want to make the character a bit more thin. Like she's like having this parasite rose inside her body and getting all the nutrients from her. So she's very thin looking, almost dead, like a mummy, Using an Intuos. Hey, Casey. Yeah, I'm currently... No, never mind. No, not an Intuos. I'm using a Cintiq. Although, I constantly switch between watching the Cintiq screen and watching my, like, normal monitor. I realize that sometimes when when I actually want to do like a very specific stroke, like following some line or a very detail, like for example right here, if I want to create a stroke right here following the shoulder plate, I might actually look at the Cintiq. Otherwise I try to look at the monitor since it's bigger and I'm already used to working like that, so... Empecé a usar ZBrush hace un tiempo, pero no me gusta mucho hacer coleccionables. Prefiero estudiar anatomía y hacer mis propias creaciones. Sí, creo que está padre como hacer creaciones propias, honestamente. Creo que es algo que también yo disfruto un poco más. Digo, al final por trabajo pues uno termina haciendo personajes o creaciones de otras personas, pero creo que hacer como nuestros propios personajes o criaturas siempre es un poquito más divertido. Yeah, for sure. It helps with the posture, and that way I don't have like the screen very close to my face. Pretty sure that helps also for my eyes, although I'm not sure how much since I already spent a ton of time in front of the screen. So, but yeah, I'm already used to working like this, like watching the screen and then sometimes watching down to the Cintiq, but that way at least I don't get like these back pains and stuff like that. So the idea is to have like these parasite rows on top of the head, and maybe having some of the roots or some of the thorns coming out of the body. So that's pretty much the idea of the character or creature. So give me a sec. I'm gonna check some of my references. Maybe having like some of the inner parts of the body coming from inside of the belly, like completely open. And I'm working on a very low poly model. I usually prefer this, working on a very low poly model. That way I can create some strokes and then just very roughly get like some shapes done or some details, playing with the shadows and with the light without having to worry about the resolution or having like a ton of polygons. Y la idea es que tenga como... Voy a modificar un poco esto. Es que tanto quiero que sea huesos y que tanto sea carne. Todavía no he decidido eso. Pero quizás voy a ir agregando como si tuviera las raíces saliéndole de la boca y de los intestinos. Tampoco quiero que sea como un rostro completamente humano. Quiero que sea como algo que ya se deformó y mutó. Pero por lo menos ahorita funciona. So the idea is that even though this was a human, eventually with like all these parasite creature inside the body, the DNA started to switch and maybe like get some not so humanoid shapes. And again, the rose on top of the head, it's just a placeholder. But just want to have some noise on top of it, so it looks a bit more detailed, although I might actually change it. Y la idea es que justamente le agrego un poquito nada más de volumen aquí en lo que son los pétalos, digamos. Solo para que no se vea como demasiado fuera de lugar comparado con el resto del cuerpo. I know it doesn't look like a rose, so I'll eventually switch and start adding some rose shape to the head. Hey, Maha, how are you doing? Creo que esto lo voy a hacer un poco más delgado. So I'm just pretty much just improvising, changing shapes. And I think I'll need to work on the pose also. So having something that's maybe like this, like his, like this could work. Or maybe to the front. Have to figure out that one. Hey Casey, do you have decent amount of work right now, or is it pretty dead for you as well? Thankfully, I've been pretty busy. I mean, I know both the games and film industry, it's been like pretty much in chaos, like for I think pretty much now like a year, maybe 2 years, especially film industry after the strikes. But what I actually did is I started doing like not only games and film jobs, but also stuff that it's maybe not related to those industries. So 3D printing stuff. I've been working for toy manufacturers, jewelry stuff also for 3D printing. Thankfully, I've been working as a contractor for a company that does theme parks. So it's not entirely on games or film industry, although I'm doing cinematics and I'm doing like some on real-time stuff, but it's keeping me pretty busy, thankfully. And plus, you know, trying to get like not all the jobs on like maybe 3D modeling, but also doing some stuff for 3D printing or for concept art might actually help to get like some more clients. I think I've been lucky, to be honest. I know a ton of friends that they're pretty amazing. Like they're way better artists than what I am. But I think, thankfully, I've been lucky and I've been pretty busy. But I think in part it's because I've been trying to diversify the projects that I work on. So I'm trying not to like only do creatures for VFX or characters for games. Although I really enjoy working on those stuff, I really try to do like some characters for like tabletop games or for indie games. So I try to like do different stuff that might actually help. That might be one of the reasons that I've been busy. Which is one of the reasons that I haven't done streamings apparently in a whole year. Not a whole year, but at least 6 months. My last streaming, I'm not sure, but pretty much 2024. So it's been very hard for everyone. I know it's. I have a ton of friends that are like, they've been like laid off like 2 or 3 times in a year or 2 years. So hopefully things will get sorted out soon. But it's a good idea to have a plan B. Like maybe if you can actually like model or sculpt, try different mediums like scientific illustrations or 3D printing for art toys, or you know, there's a ton of different ways to mix 3D with different industries. Hey, Dutra, thank you. This looks good. I'm getting started in sculpting and watching you. It's really helping. Thanks. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I usually try to say what I'm thinking while sculpting. However, some of the tools that I use, I tend not to mention them, especially because the brushes that I use, I have them as hotkeys. So that's the reason why I don't actually go inside the brush menu and start searching for, I don't know, the move brush or the clay build-up brush. I usually have hotkeys for those. That's why I can actually switch pretty quickly. But yeah, if you have any questions, I'd be glad to help. So I'm just getting like this emaciated, like very weird looking shape. It has to be human, however I want it to be like deformed human. Like you can see the body and realize that there's something wrong inside of it. And for that, I don't actually need that much resolution right now, so I'll keep it like this for now, low poly. Thank you. Yeah, you have to think outside the box, and I mean, on my end, I really enjoy like modeling, like doing characters and creatures. It's like what I really enjoy the most. And thankfully, I've been able to work on that for several years. However, at the very beginning when I started, I did like 3D modeling, rendering, even rigging. So being a bit of a generalist also opens like a ton of doors. You never know when you can find like some job as a journalist, or maybe you specialize as a character artist and you find some jobs as a texturing artist, and might not be the ideal or what you really enjoy, or not enjoy, but it's not on your top 3 maybe, but maybe top 5 or top 10. That could also help. It's been a while since my last streaming, so bear with me if I'm a bit rusty, especially like speaking and sculpting. So, I think I'm going to start creating the roots. Maybe just as a placeholder, but I really want to see how this looks. So, I'm gonna use one of these brushes that create tubes. And the multi-tube brush. Oops, vision levels on this one. No. Now I'm thinking of having like the root system coming out from the belly or from the mouth. However, since I already have like a ton of stuff going on top of the head, I don't want to like have, besides having the rose head and the open mouth, also having roots and thorns coming from the mouth. I think it's way too much. So maybe I can add like everything coming from inside the belly, like sort of like a baby. Especially since it's supposed to be like a parasite, maybe it's coming from inside the belly, so it can actually reproduce. Hey Bermuda, how are you doing? Y la idea es que al final, como es un parásito, estaba pensando que todo salga del centro del abdomen, pero igual lo puedo ir cambiando un poquito. I think this is enough for me to start, like. I'm gonna assign a polygroup to each one of those roots, and then just start moving this. Maybe this one goes inside the skin and then pops out on the other side of the chest. The idea is to make it look creepy, so that's what I'm aiming for tonight. And I'm gonna do another one here. So yeah, I'm thinking at the end, since it's just a personal project and I don't have like a brief or like a client giving me feedback for the creature, I'm just trying to get like some backstory on it or the reason why maybe it's the way it is. So I'm thinking maybe the actual parasite it's in here, and from there it actually like creates these tentacles / roots with thorns. So it can actually like append to the host, and the final like the once the host already has like been, I don't know, infected, at the end you can like deform or create like this leaves system on top of the head, so you can actually like release spores like in The Last of Us, like the clickers. It could be like one way of doing it. Although I'm currently thinking this is gonna be like super gross, but maybe I can show the head and then having the skin of the head actually creating the shape of the rose. So instead of having like this shape that actually looks right now like a clicker, it's actually like the skull, and then having like the skin peel off, in a way that it actually mimics a rose, although it's not entirely a rose. So hopefully I made myself clear, although I'm pretty sure I'm just saying words without any meaning, and it's easier if actually I can show you guys what I have in mind. So it's gonna be like a regular looking head. And then we have right here something like this, and then we have like the skin here starting to peel off, and then the skin from here they start to lose the skin on the top of the head, so it opens and we get like this rose shape. So that's the idea I'm currently having. Since we don't have a client or we're just improvising, we can actually like do whatever we want. I actually really like this shape with the eyes. It wasn't intentional, but I think it's quite interesting. It looks weird, so I'm gonna keep it like very subtle, like where the eyes are meant to be, but maybe not entirely there. Yeah, like a flower stem. Thank you, Dudra. When you mentioned the roots, I imagined the roots visible in the back of the throat. Oh, that's very nasty. I think I really enjoy that idea. Since I already have the open mouth, maybe I can show some of the root system inside of the mouth, representing that inside of the I mean, this is pretty much just a carcass, like it's completely hollow, and inside it's like full of vines and roots. So it's pretty much just empty, and this is just like a hollow carcass of a human being. That could be, that's very creepy. I think I really like that. I think I'll go into that direction. Thank you, Dutra. It's that more natural pose you have right now in creating a character in games, or would you stretch the arms? For games, it depends completely, not on my decision, but I tend to rely or depend on the decision on the rigging department. Usually the riggers tend to prefer if the character is in T pose or in A pose or in a more relaxed pose. Especially because for me it's not that much of a deal. Like if the rigger at the end wants a T pose, it's just like actually posing the character, maybe relaxing a bit more the shoulders, and that's pretty much it. Like for me it doesn't take that much time to change the pose of the character, and maybe for the rigger it's easier, or that's the way actually they work and they're very used to it. So it depends. There's been projects where I deliver characters in T-pose, although I have to say most of the time I tend to deliver characters in A-pose. I think A-pose feels a bit more natural. Since you're not in T-pose, you're not actually you're not tensing the muscles from the shoulders, so you feel a bit more relaxed, and you can work on the silhouette of the shoulders a bit more compared to having something like this, where you're actually having like like at the end the muscles are getting compressed and stretched, so it's not so relaxed. Usually I tend to work on A pose. I think for me it works better, but most of the time the decision comes from the rigging department. ¿Qué onda, Novi? ¿Cómo estás? Cyrax, ¿cómo has estado? Bendiciones. So let me change the shape of this one. So now I'm gonna start working a bit more on the shapes. I already have the design done, so I think this one as a concept, I can actually even render like a quick render or like a PBR render, BPR, or maybe something inside Redshift of this character, and then in Photoshop I can start like doing a paint over and doing variations on the character, maybe doing different set of bodies or playing with the shapes of the root system. So for me this is like a very it's a good enough state for me to start doing some concept art. However, since we are gonna continue working on 3D, I think this is the perfect time for me to start defining a bit more the face. Something I really like is I'm getting like the vibe that he doesn't have any teeth, like it's like toothless on the top, and maybe on the bottom he actually has like the teeth, but on the top, like I don't know, maybe thinking like everything gets a bit more smooth, like the creature loses the eyeballs and the teeth and the hair and stuff on the top starts to fall off. So I don't know, maybe at the end the head opens and the spores come out, something like that. So I'm just trying to get like some meaning behind this weird looking shape on the head. And I haven't saved, so let me do that before I continue. Voy a guardar rápido esto porque si no crashea esto y ahí queda mi escena. So while I'm saving, let me check what number of streaming is this one. So I haven't done any streamings in 2025, but let me see, 2024. So the last streaming was 140, so this is 141. Okay. Actually, let me open what I did on my last streaming, which is pretty much I'm saying my last streaming, but I mean my last streaming in the ZBrush channel. A couple of weeks ago I did my streaming on my personal Twitch channel, so I'm actually switching 1 week here and 1 week on my personal Twitch channel, but I haven't done anything here in a while, so let me open my last one, which was from Dandadan, the Serpo alien from Dandadan. Where is it? So this was from my last streaming from December 2024, so it's been a while. I was doing like an alien from Dandadan. At the end, I finished this one. I did some retopo on my free time and then some textures. And let me see if I can actually show you guys how it ended up looking. So I have in mind for this one to do the same, like to do maybe some quick retopo and then doing some quick animation inside Mixamo for the creature, and then placing everything inside Unreal. Okay, let me show you guys. So this was the final render of my Serpo alien from Dandadan. I think I'm gonna be doing the same for this creature. I'm gonna might actually spend like one streaming or two working on this one, and then doing some retopo, some UVs, and then just exporting everything into Unreal. I haven't done any animations with the alien from Dandadan, but done. But the idea is to pretty much do something like that. So let me continue working on this parasite rose creature. So I actually realized that from the front my character works. However, if I see my creature from the side view, I don't get the same effect. It's actually quite broken, so I'm gonna start working on the side view of my character. So I'm gonna start modifying a bit maybe the shape. I still want to keep like the very smooth looking shape. I don't want to have like very like a skull. I want it to be more subtle. La idea es que justamente esto quede un poquito más sutil. Quede un poquito más suave, como que estuviera piel encima de todo esto. Misma piel que después se descarapela y forma lo que mencionaba del cráneo. Voy a mover la oreja un poco más adelante, pero creo que la oreja la voy a quitar. Not entirely sure if I want to keep the ears. Well, I'll keep them for now. I was having some second thoughts about the ears, but I'll keep them for now, and if I want to get rid of them, I can actually use Sculptris Pro at any moment and just get rid of the ears. Right here. Right now I'm trying to get like some of those shapes that I did at the very beginning, like in a very rough state, like clean up. So it's a bit more defined and it's not so broken. For example, right here, this shape inside the mouth is very weird looking, so I'm trying to fix that one. And again, I'm thinking that it doesn't have like any teeth on the top, so this should be a very smooth shape. Something like this. And on the bottom I can actually add maybe a couple of teeth or some of them. Me gusta el efecto de que tiene que no haya piel. Como que se ve interesante. Y lo que quiero hacer es lo que mencionaba de la piel, que se fuera como descarapelando y haciendo el efecto de rosa. Entonces voy a ocupar esto que ya tenía. Voy a guardar, voy a duplicarlo. I use auto group so I can This is not the final shape, but I just want to see if I can actually nail the rose shape with the skin. Just like this maybe. Hey, Comics Legend. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been almost 6 months or maybe more. Glad to see you guys. Glad to see you back here in the streaming too. Are you sad that the ZBrush Summit won't be in person this year? Yeah, I was really hoping for like a in-person summit. Sadly, it's gonna be online again. I really miss those events, like those live events, like going to LA and meeting everyone. It's something that I really miss. I was hoping for another one this year, but yeah. The sad news, it's not gonna be in person. Everything's gonna be online, but at least there's gonna be a summit, right? Like, even though it's not gonna be in person, at least there's gonna be one. I think there wasn't anything last year, if I'm not wrong. So, might not look like much. I think it's frozen my camera, let me check. Yeah, no camera, give me seconds. Might need to change the camera view, so give me a second. Let me check my camera, give me a sec. Okay, there we go. Again. Hi again, guys. So, this is the first layer. Let me try to get that rose shape done. Let me duplicate this one. Oh. So I'm gonna be super lazy and just rotate this, just to get another layer like this. And I'll continue doing that just to get like the shape done. And let me auto group this and duplicate again. This one, I'm gonna modify this one a bit more, so it's not entirely just a copy of it. Again, this is just an experiment. I'm not entirely sure if this is gonna work, but that's the idea. So if it doesn't work, I'll go back to this shape. Actually, let me just get some rose references. Okay. I'm gonna use auto group again, so I can click this one. And maybe I'll move everything a bit more down. Let me just check what's going on with the music. I've been using Pretzel Rock, however, this time I'm getting like a ton of issues with that, so I might actually change for my next streaming. It's not working entirely good, this one. Let me check. So I'm gonna try something different for the music. There's a free to stream playlist inside Spotify, so I might give it a try. Hopefully it doesn't get muted or anything like that. Should be okay, but I'll just give it a try, see what happens. Because yeah, Pretzel Rock is not really working this time. Okay, so I'm gonna create a new set of these ones. And this one should be looking a bit to the top, just like a rose. Okay, I'll duplicate this one also. Something like this. Just getting some issues with this one. I'm gonna modify this one with this. So it doesn't look like a hat or something like that. Y la idea es que justamente tenga como los pétalos de rosa saliéndose como en diferentes ángulos. Y Digo, de momento no aparece una rosa, pero voy a seguirlo modificando. Es que eventualmente se empiece a aparecer una rosa. Pero aquí voy a cambiar un poco los ángulos de esta sección también. So it looks weird, but hopefully it will look good at the end. Voy a hacer los pétalos un poquito más levantados esta vez. So I'm just trying to create a new layer of these leaves. Well, they're not actually leaves, they're petals. So, or that's the idea I have for it. So, they're not actually leaves. Oops. I think it's a good idea to save right now, just in case something happens. Y misma técnica, solo estamos duplicando, rotando, escalando y moviendo. Pero al final es el mismo mesh desde el principio. Okay. Looks like a lettuce, So I'm gonna duplicate this one, make it smaller, and like some lettuce. I'm not entirely sure. Looks like a hat. I mean, the idea works, but I'm not entirely sure about this. Maybe I'll try to make it smaller. Not feeling that it's working. I think it's looking a bit weird. Something like this works. I just need to really separate the skull, like this section. So I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna use the cloth brush so I can get some wrinkles. It might be one of those happy accidents. I'm just trying to see if it works. I mean, it could work, but I'm not entirely sure. Okay, so I'm gonna save this as a new version. And this one is gonna be a different version. I really like these clean shapes. However, I also like the wrinkly stuff. Pretty hard to decide. Maybe I can try to blend a bit more this. So the idea is to have like a very drastic change of texture here. Something like this. I mean, it looks like a plant. It looks like a hat also, but not entirely like digging the design. These look sick. These look sick. Thank you, Dutra. I think you made it a little tiled to the side. Look in the eyes, maybe. Maybe, yeah, maybe it's too symmetrical. That's why it's not working, as you said. Like, I'm really trying to get something that looks organic, but having this symmetry might not help. That could be one of the reasons. Yeah, you might be right. So I'm just looking at this and thinking these look like a hat. I'll just try to change this a bit more. Maybe adding some more layers like this. Maybe I can actually extract some shapes here. Let's see. This is way too much. Let me change the thickness. Something like this. This actually can help a bit. Not entirely sure. Still looks like a hat. Maybe it's these horizontal lines. It's not really helping me with the hat look. Not entirely sure about these ones. Maybe with a bit more resolution I can actually define a bit more of this shape. Or maybe I can... Instead of having like the skull, the top of the skull, I can do a shape like this. Okay, so I'm gonna save this and I'm going to start adding more resolution to the face. See if working on the face might help me with the rest of the design. Estoy agregando un poquito más de resolución para justamente ver si el hecho de que tenga más resolución me ayuda a definir más el personaje. Esto lo voy a mezclar con esta forma de aquí. Me gusta como todo este ruido que generé aquí. No es la intención, pero al final como que ese tipo de cosas ayudan a que se vea más orgánico. Maybe the ears, they get like a bit more small, like shrink. For example, for this one I'm gonna use Sculptress Pro just to get rid of like all these geo. As I said, I'm not entirely sure about the ears, but having like a very rough shape on them. Maybe they get a bit lost. And as Dutra said, I'm gonna add a ton of vines or roots inside the mouth. So I'm gonna duplicate this. It is pretty much just duplicating and using the same mesh over and over, just to save time. Especially right now that I'm trying to get some design done. I don't need to invest a ton of time working on something that I might actually change, or not even like make it to the final design. So I'm gonna duplicate like this one and then rotate. Oh, I see a little star there. Okay, something like this. I'm gonna hide this for now and work without it. Still need to figure out the belly section. Looks very weird on the side view. Let me see. I had some previous shapes here. Hey, thank you, Dutra. Still trying to figure out the design. The idea of having like no top of the head, it's not really that bad. So you can actually work with this one, like let me see again if I do something like this. I mean, it looks creepy and weird, that's for sure, but I'm not entirely sure if this is the look I want. I mean, I have to accept that this one looks very weird looking. Not duplicate this, just to have two different versions of the head. I really find it very weird looking, this design, so this is one and this is two. Yeah, I can have another one which is version 3 without the head stuff. Although that one doesn't look like a plant anymore. And this one looks way too much like a clicker. Okay, I think I have an idea. I'm gonna remove these ones, and I'm still gonna have the petals and the flower on top, but instead of having this fight with the skull, I'm gonna have the vines going on top also. So doing something like this. Oops. And this is just a test, but having one come from here, another one from here. And having, I'm gonna duplicate this one. Oh, since I already have two, I'm gonna use this one and place it here. But, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's the idea of a rose, so this could be another option. Not entirely sure. See another one having the head maybe. Maybe having the head doing something like this. and instead of having like the rows on top, like open, maybe I can have like a cocoon, like what's the name of it in English, like a flower bud on top, like maybe it's not entirely open yet, and I can create like, I'm gonna duplicate this. Okay, so I have this one. Maybe having something like this where it's still closed, hasn't completely opened, and from here I get all the lips maybe. Yeah, it's looking very weird. Still haven't figured out this one yet. So I think I'll continue working on the, let's say, neutral one, which is this one. And I'm gonna duplicate this one and then just mirror it. Yeah, maybe I can do something like this, and I think I have another one right here. Okay, something like this, and gonna save this as a new file. I think I'm just gonna do a quick render. I'll have to do some paint overs. What I'm gonna do is just I have roughly the idea of having like all these vines and roots inside of the creature, and I just need to figure out the head, and I have to figure out what's going on like with the skull. Let me separate this one. So I might actually do some paint over just to see what I do with this creature. I'm still digging the idea of having like the head of the rose, like something like this. It's not entirely removed from my mind. I just need to make it look not that much into the Last of Us realm and more into like a rose. But I'll have to figure out this one. So I think I'll have to do a render, try some shapes, some paint overs, and give it a try next week. So yeah, I'm gonna save this and do a quick render. Okay, give it a try. Hopefully it doesn't crash. No, it doesn't crash. Didn't crash. Just gonna do a very quick poly paint so it doesn't end up like super clean, super white. So very quick poly paint. It's gonna be black and white. So this is gonna be the main color, fill object. Then I'm gonna use a cavity map. No, never mind, not a cavity map, cavity mask. So masking, cavity, mask by cavity. And maybe the vines are gonna be different color, so and I'm just gonna add some color to the vines or roots, whatever. Okay, let's give it another try. So, yep, I think I'm going to leave my streaming here, guys. Still need to figure out what I'm gonna do with the creature. Still need to work out the design, so I have some ideas on what to do with the character, but yep. I think for now I'm gonna leave it here. Thanks to everyone who came by to the streaming. It's been a while. I'm not taking that much time again off for a while at least. So I'll be back next week on my personal Twitch channel. On my personal Twitch channel, I was working on this, which is a Quetzalcoatlus. The pterodon, like the dinosaur, although it's not really a dinosaur, but I've been working on this one on my personal Twitch channel. Let me show you guys. So this is what I did on my last streaming. I pretty much just started sculpting like the shapes of the skull and adding some muscles. So I'm gonna start adding like I'm gonna merge everything into a single mesh and then starting like adding wrinkles and a next pass on the fat and all the imperfections and merging the bones with the skin. So that's gonna be next streaming, next week, next Wednesday. And after that, I'm gonna continue working on this guy. That's gonna be not next week, but the week after that one. So it's gonna be a fun one. Let me see if I can actually render this one with this material. Find a different, maybe a different lighting scenario could work. Let me find some different lights. Oh, it's way too bright. Let me see. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, Dutra. Thanks for the suggestions with the vines and the roots. That was pretty cool. I'm actually gonna follow that one. And yeah, see you guys next week, next Wednesday on my personal Twitch channel, and then the week after that on my, never mind, here on the ZBrush channel, so we can actually continue working on this one. Voy a continuar este personaje no la siguiente semana, sino la semana que viene. La siguiente semana sigo en mi canal personal. Y Después la siguiente semana ya es continuar trabajando en este personaje, a ver hacia dónde nos lleva. Todavía como que hay bastante que definir, pero tengo que todavía definir un poquito la parte del diseño de la cabeza y ver qué es lo que voy a hacer con la parte de los pétalos y todo eso. Pero por mientras creo que empezó bien, nada más habrá que marcar un poquito algunas cosas un poquito más. En especial la parte del diseño y de ver qué se va a hacer con el cráneo. Pero nos vemos entonces la próxima semana y gracias a todos los que estuvieron aquí en el streaming. Take care, guys.